Hi there, I'm Jacob Windsor, a bachelor student at the Mathematics Science program, and I'm applying for the Google Summer of Code project with the National Resource for Network Biology. Given the project I'm proposing, it seemed appropriate to give a presentation that accompanies the written proposal. So I would like to create a WikiPathways pathway presenter. In short, this will allow researchers to create dynamic presentations from the pathway diagrams in WikiPathways. They can then share them and even embed them into other presentation formats such as PowerPoint. So what is WikiPathways? WikiPathways is an open and collaborative database for biological pathways. Each pathway page features this interactive diagram. Below is a static version of the microRNA biogenesis pathway in humans. If this pathway was viewed in WikiPathways, you could zoom in and pan around the diagram. Clicking on each pathway node, which can be a metabolite or a protein or DNA, will allow you to open up a useful pop-up filled with extra annotation information that will help you gather more information about the pathway. So what's the problem then? Why do we need to improve WikiPathways? You already saw one of the problems in the previous slide. I couldn't embed the interactive pathway diagram into this presentation, but nor would I want to with the way it is used at the moment. A presenter can't use their mouse to zoom around a diagram or open the annotations pop-up in the middle of a lecture. So that is one problem, but it is part of a larger issue with pathway diagrams in general. They can be confusing. Take a look at this one. This is the MAP kinase signaling cascade. You can see it's extremely large with many subnetworks. Even with WikiPathways interactive diagrams, it would still take some time and effort to study and understand it. So the question is, can we do something about this? Of course we can. So I'm currently working on my thesis titled Extending WikiPathways to Improve Educational Capabilities. I'm doing this at the Big Cat department in Maastricht University, and below you can see a GIF of a working prototype of the end goal of my project. In a Proteopedia style way, clicking on links within the pathway's accompany description will change the visualization of the pathway diagram. You can highlight nodes, zoom into them, or just pan to them. Everything works as a single node or groups of nodes. So for example, if you need to zoom in on an interaction between multiple nodes, you would select multiple nodes and it will go to the center of all of them. These interactive descriptions provide a pathway story that is easy to follow. It allows biologists to more easily understand the pathway diagrams so that they can make insights into their research more easily. So how have I achieved this? I've created a manipulation API within PVJS, and PVJS is the JavaScript library that renders pathway diagrams in WikiPathways. This simple API allows developers to alter the pathway visualization. The description links simply fire one of these API methods, and the API methods such as highlight on or zoom on just take a node ID or a list of node IDs, along with any other parameters that they are required. But can we do more than this? Of course we can. Now, pathway presentations are a good way to improve pathway stories even more. The interactive descriptions already do a great way of creating stories in the WikiPathway domain. But what about all those times when pathways are not shown from WikiPathways? In presentations like this one, in blogs, in journal articles, pathway diagrams aren't interactive like they are in WikiPathways. I also mentioned earlier that it was an issue that I couldn't embed the interactive pathway in this presentation. So the solution is pathway presentations that include a time aspect. These presentations contain slides that each have a different pathway visualization state. For example, the first slide may hide all but 2 metabolites, and the second would show 2 more and highlight them in different colors. These presentations have a twofold effect. Understandability is increased significantly by allowing a time aspect. By only showing the viewer what they need to see at any one point in time, they don't become overwhelmed with information. It also provides a great means of sharing the interactive pathways in WikiPathways. You can include pathway presentations within other lectures without having to worry about dragging around the diagram. You just click through the different pathway slides and talk about each individually. The same is true for other mediums such as blogs. So I've made this wireframe to show you what the presentation editor interface may look like. and apologies for my terrible drawing skills. In the center, you see this pathway diagram rendered in the current visualization state as specified in the selected slide. At the bottom, you see a preview of all the slides and can select one. At the side, you select what manipulations you want to perform and on which nodes. You may choose to zoom in, pan to, highlight, or open the annotations pop-up for one or any number of nodes. You can also animate each of the manipulations. Now, the pathway presenter relies, or will rely, on a few external libraries. This diagram will show you how they will interact. In fact, it's quite similar to what a pathway presentation will look like. So, you start off with a view. This could be the pathway presentation itself or the editor interface. PathPresent.js, a JavaScript library that I will write, provides the presentation data to the view. This data contains information such as what pathways is being used, the title, a description, and the manipulation API methods to be called for each slide. PathPresent.js also provides the methods that the view can activate. These are for creating and updating the presentations. PVJS, the library that renders pathway diagrams, is called by the view to render the pathways specified in the data. PVJS is actually a wrapper around a more generic library called Cavio. PVJS adds the biological functionality needed for WikiPathways. The manipulation API is called by the view with the method specified in the presentation data. When it is called, it causes PVJS to change the pathway visualization. So, look into the future. This project represents just a starting point to allowing for high-quality presentations of pathways in WikiPathways. And these are some things that could be integrated into it in the future. So first we have embedding. Now this is a crucial feature that should be implemented into the pathway presenter as soon after the first product as possible. With the frameworks I have decided to use, this should be fairly easy to implement. You can find out more about the gory details of the frameworks and any other technologies in the written proposal. Text. Allowing for the author to add additional text into the slides is another feature that could be implemented after the first product. And finally, hopefully, one day, these pathway presentations could be embedded in digital versions of journal articles from publishers. Of course, this would be a significant advantage over the conventional static diagrams that you see today. So thank you for listening. The full proposal is online at the link below. If you have any questions or maybe even suggestions, then please contact me via email or Twitter. I have a blog if you are interested. I recently wrote a post about my current thesis project. And finally, thanks to my thesis supervisors, Egon and Anders.